Hey everybody, it's Leeroy from Leeroy Gaming, and today I'm bringing you my top tips and frequently asked question answers for Lost Arks, as it is opening its doors to all the free-to-play players tomorrow. Now, I'm rather new to this game, so you may want to ask yourself, well, why listen to this new guy? Well, I'll tell you exactly why. And that is because sometimes when you've played this game for numerous years on the Korean servers, Russian servers, etc., one of the problems you may run into is it's very easy to take certain things for granted that new players just don't get. So as a rather newer player, what I found is that even though I watched some beginner tip videos out there before jumping in myself, I was still faced with some questions that right off the bat didn't know the answers to, and I saw lots of people in chat having the same questions. So I gathered up that information and I'm sharing it here with you. If you find any of it helpful, make sure and drop me a like. That helps me tremendously. And if you have any other questions about the game from a beginner's perspective, please leave them in the comments and I'll make sure to answer them for you. That being said, let's go ahead and jump in and take a look at my top 10 tips and FAQ answers for Lost Arks. All right, so my first FAQ answer relates to what character you should play. Now, you're going to see a lot of videos that say, oh, play whatever you want, etc., etc. The reality is that for single-player content, you can clear everything with every single character. However, there are some caveats when it comes to difficulty, and I wanted to point two things out in particular. Number one, what makes some characters much more difficult than others is something called positioning. So there are certain abilities, when you look at them, they're going to tell you that you need to be behind an enemy, for example. And if you're trying to min-max your damage and you aren't behind the enemy, as an example here, you're going to lose a lot of DPS and you're going to be playing your class suboptimally. So if you want probably the most overpowered class that does not require you to deal with positioning, then I'll recommend you pick the mage class. And under the advanced classes, you're going to want to pick sorceress rather. Now, the sorceress, amazing, very powerful, tons of AoE abilities, as you see here in the background. Also does not really rely on any positioning for the majority of her gameplay. And what is also nice is she looks really, really cool. And as you can see, her spells just look amazing. You're going to have no issues doing tons of DPS. Very, very fun class. If you want something OP and easy to play, play the sorceress. Now, I do want to point out for new players, you will notice that there are some classes that are gender locked. They'll say here, basically, warriors are all male, mages are all female, and there's male and female versions for martial artists and gunners. This is very normal in Korean games, not so normal here, but just keep that in mind. Now, my other mini tip that goes along with the class selection is that if you want a class that is going to be extremely wanted in high-end groups and raiding, then you're going to want to play a support class. And there are two support classes. One of them is yet again under the sorceress, and that is the bard. The bard is going to provide shielding and healing for the group, does damage, but not going to break any DPS records, so people love them. And under warriors, you're going to have the paladin class. Now, what's really cool about the paladin is that he looks awesome. He is extremely good in PvE. He's fine in single player. Like I said, all the classes are fine in single player. Amazing in groups and raids, and also amazing in PvP. Now, here's the one problem. He's got amazing looking attacks, and the game makes him look like he's going to do a ton of DPS, but the community will likely chastise you if you go DPS build. They're really meant to be support, to help out the group. Going full DPS, you're still not going to really compete the top DPS. So again, if you like the style, if you like to help out the group, they can heal and they can support the group. And this is the other character selection tip I have for you. All right, my next tip for you guys is to help you widen your view. What this means is you can actually get more west to east view distance in the game. This is especially useful if you do not have a widescreen monitor. All you have to do is go under settings. So go right here, go under video, and if you click force 21:9 aspect ratio, look how much I'm viewing here left to right. As soon as you click it and you apply, it goes letterbox. Now, some people hate these bars. If you do, then don't worry about it. But notice right off the bat, you're getting a lot more real estate left to right. So if you're doing dungeons, if you're doing raids, and you want to be able to see even more of the mechanics and elements coming up left to right, this is a way that it can help you out. Some people swear by this. The other tip I want to give you under settings is if you play in windowed mode like I do, one of the things that's really helpful is lock cursor to make sure that your mouse doesn't go off the screen. That can be really, really helpful as well. So again, look at the force aspect ratio as it is now, and I'm going to disable it, and look how much less you're going to see. Boom. Huge, huge difference. So it's the equivalent of being able to zoom out even further without any fancy mods or anything like that. All right, next tip has to do with the minimap. And this is probably the best tip I learned about. When you hit tab, you're gonna see a minimap like this, and it gets kind of in the way. And if you're used to running with an overlay in a game like Diablo, for example, you'll be used to this. Now, there are two things you can do to remedy this. Number one, don't forget you can go up here in the corner and change the transparency. That can sometimes help, but that's not really the ticket here. The thing that the game doesn't tell you about is you can hold your middle mouse button and move the minimap. Voila, right there. Put it to the side, somewhere where you want it, and all of a sudden, you're golden. I like to keep a little transparency so I can see through the background while still seeing the overall layout of the levels, but this is probably one of the best time-saving and kind of view tips I was able to figure out. All right, my next tip has to do with teleportation. Now, the game does teach you that you can teleport, and kind of the horribly painful, slow way of doing it is hitting your map and then clicking on the little teleport location, and you can go to the triports. But what the game doesn't tell you is that not only can you also do it off the minimap, you can also do it off of your overlay. All you have to do is you can hold Alt on your keyboard and left click on your overlay as I'm doing here, and voila, just like that you can teleport at any time. So teleporting away is as close as hitting tab and then Alt left clicking on any teleport area in the area. So super easy, learn it, love it. All right, my next tip or FAQ has to do with pets and mounts. Now, the very first day that I was streaming, I had people kind of freaking out on stream saying, wait a minute, they saw my founder's pack coming with a pet and a mount, saying, hey, are we going to have to buy pets? Are we going to have to buy mounts with real money? What's going on here? Well, good news is every single player, as soon as you're done with the prologue and get just a little bit into the story, we're talking about just a couple levels, probably an hour, hour and a half in, you're going to get what are called guide quests. You're going to see they pop up. They look like this. They have these little purple icons. You're going to activate them, and they will basically guide you through getting your very first pet, and it's also going to guide you to get a mount. So you're going to get the white bunny for yourself. To give you an idea, here's my collector's edition pet, and it basically is identical pretty much for the most part here. Now, the only difference when it comes to pet functionality has nothing to do whether they're paid for or not. It has everything to do whether you buy basically their subscription crystalline aura ability or subscription. It's like $10 a month roughly. And also you get 30 days of it for free when you buy one of the founders packs. And so basically what that allows you to do is these extra pet functions. You can get remote storage access from the pets. You can get remote mail. You can get remote repairs, remote, well, those are the main ones, because you can still access your pet inventory, etc. And the way you do that is very, very simple. You hold left click and right click on them, and you can click on the pet functions. And here we go. Here's your shared stash, your personal storage, and your inventory. So again, you're going to get those for free. Same exact thing with your pets. If you're curious to see, you're going to get a just a fine mount. You get to pick your color. It's a mount it's basically a horse mount. So here's the one I picked. I picked the white one. There's also a black one and I think one other color. So it looks just fine. Again, you do not have to spend any money to get functional mounts. You're going to want mounts for traversing this very, very large game, but you're not going to need it. And within the first couple hours of playing, you'll get access to it. Don't worry. Now, speaking of unlocks, my next tip has to do with trade skills. And this really confused me for a long time because I was running through the game to the first couple areas and I noticed, hey, there looks like there's things that you should be able to gather, but I couldn't gather everything. And it was very, very confusing because this game does not unlock tradescraft at the very beginning. You see all these tradescrafts: foraging, lodging, mining, hunting, fishing, excavating, all really fun, all really cool, but you don't get access to them. So the question is, when do you get access to them? The answer is, you're basically going to get access to it pretty far into the early game. What is that? Basically, we're talking about early 20s, right before you head towards this, without spoilers, this castle battle. You're going to be going through the main story and you're going to get access to these quests. Again, they're going to be guided quests. So you're going to want to look for those purple icons, just as you did with the mount quest and the pet quest. And you're going to activate them, and it's going to give you tools that you're going to be able to use. It's going to teach you, basically do a little tutorial. You're going to do each one of the activities, and then it's going to be unlocked from there on. So again, by the time you get to the big battle at the castle, you're going to have all these unlocked. All right, the next big question that some people had is, well, how am I going to best level in this game? Now, if you made a mistake like me and watched a beginner's guide that people made a couple months ago, especially those playing on the Russian servers, what you will find is they tell you that, hey, you should follow the main quest, but for the first 20 or so levels, you need to do side quests because you're going to run out of content to hit level 50. I want to point out that this is 100% no longer the case. They redid this not that long ago, maybe a couple months ago, I guess. Just some of those guides are still out there and they're ranked really high because they're by content creators that have been out for a while. And so all you need to do, theoretically, is complete the main quest. And they look just like this, these little icons. You do not have to do anything else. Now, I do recommend if you run into any world quests, you're going to know what they are because they're going to pop out of nowhere. There'll be a little circle on your mini-map. And normally they'll say you have 2 minutes to kill like 4 mobs. Do that. It's going to give you a ton of EXP. Takes like seconds to complete. And it's going to be super easy. Now, what you do not want to do is, unless you want to take your time and do absolutely all the content just for fun, I would avoid the side quest. Any of these little exclamation marks are really not worth your time. They don't give nearly as much EXP as the main quest, and it's just going to slow you down. I haven't done a single side quest. So if you're trying to get 50 as fast as you can avoid those quests completely. Also, don't kill any mobs that aren't part of a quest line. Basically, you'll notice if you kill a mob, you're going to get like 2 EXP per mob. It is nothing. While you do a quest and it gives you like 14,000 EXP. So it's all about questing all the time and doing the main quest and the world quest as your primary type of quest that you're going to run into between, your at least levels 1 to 30. That's what you're going to find most of the time. All right, my next tip has to do with crafting and potions. Now, crafting will not unlock until you get your stronghold. Won't spoil how you get it, but you're going to get a stronghold. It's going to be customizable. It's going to be awesome. And so the reason I want to bring this up is throughout your gameplay, you're going to find 2 different types of potions, and pretty much every content creator has talked about this. You're going to get ones that heal a flat amount of health per second, and you're going to get a ton of these. Notice I'm in my mid-late 20s here on my character, and I have still 80 of the normal healing potions and 187 major healing potions that are left over just from doing quests, pretty much, and then getting some, I think, just from some chests. What they're going to talk to you about is to hoard all of your HP percentage-based potions. And that is true because these are the only potions that you can use in endgame content. And they're limited, and obviously they're percentage-based. They come from all the way from 30% and they go up from there. Now, I'm telling you that if you do use a couple accidentally, don't stress out. Why? Because especially the 30% ones are not that hard to craft. So here's the spoiler alert. When you unlock crafting HP potions, each one of them only requires 10 wildflowers and 5 shy wildflowers. So I basically picked some flowers just in the questing area where you have the guide for unlocking foraging. You're going to know exactly what I'm talking about when you get there. You can't miss it. Spend some time there and just gather a bunch of the flowers. It takes no time at all. And you're going to be able to craft these. Basically, I wasn't even paying attention. I didn't know they're going to be needed for this. And I was able to craft, I think, about 20 HP potions. They don't cost very much silver to do. Overall, you're going to have a ton of silver you're going to be able to get. And they take, I think, 9 seconds to craft each. So, no, don't spam them. You're not going to need to. You have the normal ones. But again, don't stress out. They're not that difficult to craft. The higher level ones, I'm sure will be more difficult, but don't lose any sleep if you use a couple of them. All right, the next thing I just want to talk to you about are dungeons when you level. So when you level through the game, you're going to run into dungeons. You're going to have instances. And the way you're going to know you're running into a quote-unquote real dungeon is that, one, you can go into it with somebody else. And number two, it's going to ask you to choose a difficulty level. Now, a lot of beginners guys say, hey, do a normal difficulty as a beginner. I'm here to tell you the hard difficulty is not necessarily hard. The difference is you're probably going to have to chug some potions. And so as long as you have, 20 or so, 10 to 20 of these basic potions for like worst case scenario, you can go ahead and do those harder versions. You're going to get epic loot that's going to make you last. It's going to last a little longer. You're going to basically level and kill things a little faster. So I feel like it's worth it. And again, it's not that difficult. If you're a ranged character, you're going to have way easier time. When you have to get into melee and you have no way of self-healing, there's going to be some unavoidable damage from the mobs. But if you're a ranged class and you're decent at playing and kind of avoiding enemies, you may not even need to use that many potions. So again, don't be intimidated by the quote-unquote hard mode on dungeons. I would say at worst it's like moderate. And it's not the end of the world if you use some of your basic potions. You're probably not going to need that many potions in the open world anyway. So that's where you're going to use most of the basic potions. All right, the next thing is about your gear. And it's telling you to dismantle your gear. Don't sell it. Because most of your gear is going to end up selling for just a couple silver. It's a total waste. Now, you do not begin with the ability to dismantle gear right off the bat. So yes, I know that's frustrating. Again, you're going to get it within the first couple hours. It's going to be a guided, I don't even think it's a guided quest. It's just something, a quest that's part of the main pathway. You're going to get access to this button here. Before it's going to be gray, kind of like the gem option is for me. And so once you hit dismantle, very, very simple. Drag your items here. And what's great is it's going to break down into components. But when it doesn't break into components, it's all going to, if you take a look here, it's going to break down into useful equipment pieces. And this is going to sell for more to the vendors than if you were to just sell the items straight up to the vendors. So literally no reason to sell your gear directly to the vendor. I don't know about this. And I had about a full inventory of the items that I sold to vendors. Maybe got like 60 silver for it. Wish somebody had told me that we'll have an option to dismantle it. All right. And then my final tip having to do with your inventory, and this is a big one, is to lock the items you do not want to accidentally sell or dismantle. So the guide doesn't tell you this anywhere, but if you mouse over a piece of gear, if you hold Control and right click, it's going to open a menu for it, and you can go ahead and click lock. And now you'll notice this here, locked items cannot be traded, changed, dismantled, destroyed, or used as material. This is big, and it's going to lock it for a duration of at least an hour. And so if you lock it like that, there's the little lock icon, and you don't have to worry about accidentally messing up with these items. So this is very, very useful. Again, wish somebody had told me this. I know some people will accidentally sell or dismantle items they didn't mean to, and then going to be kicking themselves in the behind. So this again, Control right click on an item to get to this menu, and that helps out tremendously. Also, as a bonus thing about this menu, you can also link to chat here. So if you wanted to, if you've got your chat open and you control right click, you don't even have to have it open. It's going to go ahead and automatically link it, and then people can read about the item. So if you've got your Thunder Fury and you want to show off your Thunder Fury in chat as a meme, well, there you go. That's exactly how you can do it. Brownie points for anybody that gets that reference. All right, guys, so those were my beginner tips and FAQ answers for Lost Ark. I hope you found them helpful. Again, if you found this video helpful, these tips helpful, drop a like. Helps me tremendously. And if you have any other questions for your beginning gameplay, make sure to drop them in the comments, and I'll do my best to answer them for you as soon as I can. And as always, guys, thank you for all the support. Check out my stream. I'm going to be streaming on YouTube. I'm considering taking it to Twitch potentially. We shall see. But come and join me. Also, if you want to join me and my guild, I am playing on US West, the Myra server, or Mira server, I don't know how to pronounce it. And the guild name is Leeroy Gaming. You can also friend me. I am Leeroy in this game. So would love to interact with you guys. As soon as I hit max level, we're going to be streaming. I'm going to help people out through dungeons. Later on, we're going to be carrying followers through raids, etc. So I hope you guys join me. Make sure to join the Discord, link in the description below, to join our community. All right, with that being said, guys, thank you so much again, and I will see you in the next video.